Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our YouTube channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine, though a bit of flu. And maybe you could also let me know where you are watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, if you visit any part of Nyanza today, especially Luo Nyanza, Siaya, Kisumu, Homa Bay, and Migori, there's a chance that you'll find UDA conducting recruitment exercise. In fact, if you go to Homa Bay as we speak particularly, I think because of the influence of Ray Omolo, there's a lot of activities in that particular county with the intention of wresting the control of the region from Raila Amolo Odinga. But William Ruto has lately changed his strategy on how he's dealing with Nyanza. And the question which most Kenyans are asking, why will William Ruto attempt to venture into Nyanza politics? The truth of the matter is that William Ruto and his team believes that he can actually do what he did to the mountain. The only disadvantage he has is that Raila Odinga is very keen, and the moment he tried with those MPs, some of those MPs have found it very difficult to even operate. But William Ruto is venturing into Nyanza because of two main reasons. The first reason why he's venturing into Nyanza is because there's a strong feeling in Kenya Kwanza that Raila Odinga might actually not be on the ballot in 2027, and that there's a high chance that he could support either Kalonzo or someone else. And because of that thought, the question is, if you were to support Kalonzo, for example, will he go with the Nyanza region? And that's why William Ruto is actively engaging on the ground there. The other reason he's doing this is because of the restive Mount Kenya. The mountain is actually restive. William Ruto believes that the mountain might not give him the kind of votes they gave him in the last election. So he's looking at some hanging fruits, and he's seeing those hanging fruits in Raila Odinga's strongholds. So William Ruto is currently doing a lot of things in Nyanza in terms of winning the support of the region. But will he succeed? That is the question. So in this video, I want to reveal to you guys William Ruto's latest strategy, which is trying to use to win the support of Nyanza. Whether it's going to succeed or not is something which cannot happen. Because remember, immediately William Ruto was declared the president of the Republic of Kenya, he made a decision to venture into Nyanza and forcefully fight Raila Amolo Odinga. And he assigned several individuals to try to do that. But that strategy proved to be ineffective. Because the moment these guys came to the ground to attack Raila Odinga, they met resistance. So they went back. I want to tell you, if you look at the way people like Mwalimu Doyo Wede, Miguna, their attacks on Raila Odinga before, you know, all those people, Kidero and the rest, that strategy was not working. And William Ruto realized the strategy was not working during Professor George Magoha's funeral. On that particular day, William Ruto was actually supposed to come. And he had been convinced, because working with the cabinet secretary for ICT, Owalo, and the member of parliament for Game, Elisha Odhiambo, William Ruto and his team had been convinced that they had actually mobilized the crowd enough. But on the day, they realized that Raila Odinga still had people. And from that moment, William Ruto then changed his strategy. He's no longer confrontational with Raila Odinga. His team are no longer confrontational with Raila Amolo Odinga. But what are the strategies? The first strategy which William Ruto is using is to try and split Nyanza into pieces. I'm not sure whether that's going to succeed. William Ruto is trying so hard to split Kisii from Nyanza. They're trying so hard to split Kuria from Nyanza. And he's also trying to split Nyanza, Luo Nyanza, so that we have South Nyanza and Central Nyanza. He's trying so hard to do that. In fact, William Ruto is going further to split Suba from the Luo nation. The other day you saw, and I was shocked, that some of my friends like Lavendo Jala, Jaga Kimba could actually organize a meeting with a view of splitting Soba from Nyanza. I don't know whether that's going to succeed. But that's Ruto's strategy, to try and split the Luo Nyanza, South Nyanza, and Central. And if South Nyanza Central will not work, then he's going to go to Soba. Because remember, Soba, where Mbadi, Karoli, and the rest are coming from, they're not Luos. That's the fact. You know, most people assume that Mbadi is a Luo. It's not. It's a Soba. But they work very closely with the Luos. Actually, they've been assimilated. So he's trying so hard to split them, because he has also realized that it's also very difficult to split the Luos based on South and Central. Because, for example, how do you split the game? Let me just use the case of Odhiambo Kidero. Kidero comes from Game in Rangwe constituency in Homa Bay. But there's another Game in Siaya. And these guys are relative. If you go to Migori, there is Sakwa, whose roots can be traced to Bondo. So how do you split those people? So that has proved to be a bit difficult for them. And probably that explains why they are now trying so hard to take the Soba. And they're dangling for them that, just the way they've been dangling the county, Korea to have their own county, you know, Soba to have their own county. So let us wait and see whether that's going to work. Number two, their second strategy is the Luo Council of Elders. You know, the other day, the chairperson of Luo Council of Elders, Mzee Ker Otonde, passed on. Before he passed on, there were two factions. There was another one led by some gentleman from South Nyanza called Nyandiko. So when Otonde died, they were relieved. And he declared himself now as the sole Luo Council of Elders chairperson. But there's another election of Luo Council of Elders, which is going to happen to replace Otonde. And that event is supposed to take place somewhere in Homa Bay. So William Ruto is trying so hard to have the Luo Council of Elders split, so that another faction being viewed from South Nyanza perspective. And that's why Raila Odinga has organized actually that election of the new Council of Elders to take place in somewhere in Homa Bay. But William Ruto is keen on using the leaders. And I've seen one of my friends, who is one of the key leaders from UDA, Joshua Nyamori, taking up that matter. You know, he's not an elder. Nyamori is not an elder. And he's taking up the matter to court. Number three, William Ruto and his UDA also believes very strongly that they can actually have a database of supporters, conduct massive recruitment drive, and this massive recruitment drive are actually targeting some gullible Raila Odinga supporters from the region, especially the youths. You know, and that's why if you are keen, most of you are not, but if you are keen, you'll always see some youths going to meet Rayo Molo in his office, taking photos, and then when they come, they start attacking, ODM party, and attacking Raila Odinga, and advancing William Ruto's agenda. This is happening mostly in Migori and mostly in Homa Bay, especially in Homa Bay. And if you look at even the people who they've recruited, most of them were previously known supporters of Raila Amolo Odinga. So they believe that they can actually have a database, and that database can grow. Will they succeed? That is the question. So that's another strategy they are using. The other thing they are using now is to change of strategy on attacking Raila Odinga. Previously, they believed that Raila Odinga is finished. They have the power now, so they could just have people attack Raila Odinga. And they were finding it very, very rough. Those who used to attack Raila Odinga in funerals, they used to find it very rough. You know, you can remember how Migona was kicked out of that funeral. Owedio Doyo has been kicked out severally, because that time they would go to move from this TV station, radio station here, just Raila Odinga. But they realized that that strategy was not working. So their latest strategy is just to focus on their UDA. Sell UDA, don't attack Raila, because by not attacking Raila, it means they give people ears. In fact, there's a high chance of you attending a funeral in Nyanza and you'll meet someone who is representative of one of the UDA leaders. So that's also the strategy which they are using. And lastly is government appointment, which they've tied to credible candidates. William Ruto believes that he can easily identify credible candidates with strong grassroots networks and support and sponsor some of these candidates in 2027. In Kisumu, for example, where I come from, William Ruto has identified Ota, and he has also identified Ojienda. So Ojienda wants to become the governor. Ota also wants to become the governor. So his strategy is simple. Ota will run on UDA, then Ojienda will run on independent. And by doing that, it means they'll be able to deny, because Ojienda will have his people vote for him. The other guy called Ota will also run, get his votes, in the hope, they believe, that we'll be able to split votes, which will deny ODM candidate clear win. So they're currently recruiting credible candidates whom they can sponsor as candidates. In Homa Bay, for example, there is Kidero, whom they are fronting, and they believe Kidero, with the support of the state, can easily win. And despite that, they're also planning, in case Kidero will not be the best candidate, they're also planning to sponsor a gentleman, CPA, FCPA, Hesbon Omolo, who is a brother to Rayo Molo. So that's their strategy, identify credible people. You know, people like my friend Lamendo Jala, who contested in the last election, women rep, those are the people now they're identifying. And they're planning to sponsor them with a view that in case Raila Odinga will not be on the ballot, then those guys will have a chance. Those guys will be able to sell the UDA agenda. That's my take. And tomorrow I'll tell you stories about Mombasa chaos. Most of you guys have actually asked me to do that. I'll tell you stories about that. And maybe what else? Why Miguna is attacking Babu Owino. Thank you. And may you have a good day. Bye-bye.